South Africans are GTI mad. So much so that we are the largest market for GTI outside of Europe. So when Volkswagen in Germany decided to do a swan song for the current generation, they made a limited edition run of these TCR GTIs. Globally, very, very small amount released, but because we're GTI nutters, they gave us 300. Now this one in particular is 300 of 300, so that makes it even more special. So, what makes this GTI so special? Well, for starters, the only option you get is the color. So, you can get it in Tornado Red or white or silver, and that's it. You get a set of 19-inch roughness wheels on the side with massive brakes, beautiful aero body kit, front lip, side skirts, and that rear diffuser, as well as that tiny little lip on the roof spoiler. And it looks like somebody's come to play. Now, Sean, I see you have brought a knife to a gunfight.
Nice GTR, by the way.
It's a TCR.
Oh, this is a trophy.
Well, there's only 300 of these. How many of those are there?
There's 7. And there's actually only 3 with a 6-speed manual gearbox. So if you're on about the exclusivity of your car, I think I've brought the gun. You've brought the knife.
Well, I think there's only one way that we can really settle this. And we've come to probably the best place to do this.
Let's do it.
Sir, I challenge you to a drag race.
I accept. For those of you that don't know me, I'm quite a Renault sports enthusiast, having owned 4 of these cars before, 2 Clio RS models and 2 of the previous generation Megane RS models. So it's safe to say that I absolutely love these cars. I've also done various events with the Renault Sport brand. I've even done the pilgrimage to the iconic Dieppe factory in France where they build these products. And that was an absolutely life-affirming moment for me. So that brings me to the characteristics of a Renault Sport and what makes this brand so famous and infamous as hot hatches. And that comes down to the handling characteristics. Now, for the most part, you might be aiming for the ultimate lap time with an RS, but there's also an inherent fun built into each Megane and Clio model. And that comes in the form of lift-off oversteer most of the time. Now, that brings me to this current model that I'm driving, which is the 4th generation Megane and the 3rd Megane Sport model, which now features 4-wheel steering, which assists with its lift-off oversteer, whereas the other models had that lift-off oversteer engineered into it without the need for 4-wheel steering. And that brings me to my doubts surrounding the Golf GTI TCR. You see, I don't think that that car is as much fun to drive as this trophy is.
So what are you getting in this GTI TCR? Well, it is 20 mils lower than a standard GTI. You're also going to get DCC or dynamic chassis control. It really makes this car stick to the track. Other than that, interior trim-wise, as a bit of a throwback to the original GTI, you get cloth seats with Alcantara trim. Really is quite stunning. Outside of that, it's got the red stitching that lets you know it's a GTI. And of course, that little plaque on the dashboard that says this is 300 of 300.
Comfort's overrated. Have you seen the seats in this car? They're Recaros and they're covered in suede. So who needs ride quality when you can show your mates that you've got the coolest seats ever fitted to a hot hatchback? Now this car is also fitted with the Cup chassis. Despite the fact that it's called the Trophy, it features the Cup chassis. That means that it's got thicker anti-roll bars, rides a little bit lower, and it is super stiff. It also means that instead of an electronic differential, you get a Torsen mechanical limited slip differential, meaning that when you come out of corners, this is tugging you towards the inside, minimizing understeer, and just generally making this a super fun car to drive. When it comes to power, this car's got the obvious advantage. Despite being only a 1.8 litre turbocharged engine, it now has a larger turbocharger versus the GTI and versus the car that preceded it. It produces 221 kilowatts and 400 newton meters. And if you're really into bragging rights, you can get this car with the EDC gearbox, and that gets 420 newton meters. And I think that would be an even better comparison for the TCR. So in the game of one-upsmanship, I think it's 1-0 to the RS.
The GTI TCR will give you 213 kilowatts, 318 newton meters. But I have to tell you, You don't need those extra kilowatts because on paper, this car is 0.1 second faster than that RS300 of Sean's.
I'd really like to beat that car.
It's that time. So, right, we're pulling up to the line. Car is in sport. We're in sports mode. Traction control off. Left foot on the brake. We wait for my competitor.
Now this Renault is distinctively old school in the way that it offers a 6-speed manual gearbox. So I'm gonna have to rely on my left foot and my right foot in this case, instead of just my right foot, as Lawrence will no doubt be doing in his GTR. When he lets go of the brake, it's just up to the car. It's weird, it's like a 200-meter drag strip, and I'm nervous about this. Oh well. I feel like I'm in Street Outlaws, no prep kings here. Got him.
Got me off the line. Damn it.
It did look like he was kind of catching me though, which, no, thankfully, this is quite a short race.
Dude, I almost had you.
I wish you could see the smug look on my face after winning those 3 drag races.
Well, I have never had that much fun before, and acquiesce, you are indeed the winner, but I'm telling you now, I bogged it on the launch, and if I had a little bit longer piece of road, I would have had you.
I agree.
Oh no, I was afraid this was going to happen. Martin's here.
Got some 4-wheel drive to spoil the party, I suppose. This guy.
Somebody brought the sledgehammer to the gunfight.
So you boys got yourself some odd hatches. I still remember my first one. So you guys are still stuck on the starter packs.
Haha, Martin. Haha.
So I saw what you were doing. A little bit of a drag race there.
Yeah.
And the result?
The Renault managed to beat the GTI over our short distance.
Only just, yes.
Right. So, you up to taking on the Mercedes-AMG A35 then?
Of course. Let's do it.
You're sure about that?
100% sure, yeah.
Let's
do it.
Oh, this should be good. This should be good.
So we're in the Mercedes-AMG A35, which is, well, basically the old A45, slightly detuned and done properly this time. The engine is derived, same gearbox, same all-wheel drive system, but the new chassis makes all the difference. And it did something right with the all-wheel drive as well. Because instead of the old car that would plow when you did something like this, it doesn't. It just goes exactly where you point it. And that's the big advantage of this car over the other two. I mean, the others are pretty close to this in terms of power output. And to be honest, in a straight line, there probably wouldn't be very much between them at high speeds. But low down and at low speeds, that's where this all-wheel drive really makes all the difference. Just look at the way it pours the power on coming out of a corner, and it's absolutely effortless. So the specs, basic specs, 225 kilowatt, 400 Newton meters. So that kind of puts it quite high up the ranks. Sorry, this is too much fun to just drive slowly. So back to business. So this being an AMG, it means that you can choose like a million different options. But because I'm an old man, this car is perfectly trimmed for me. It has lovely wood inlays here, some gloss black plastic, and a beautiful leather and suede steering wheel with the requisite AMG specific buttons and things. Is it worth the price tag though? Let's go with, if you can afford to, yes, why don't you? Subjectively though, it's not that much better than even an older Audi A3 for that matter, or S3. And we've seen with the new one, they're also very good. So at least in terms of interior quality, there's largely parity with the rest of the class. But it is still pricey, and when you spec an A35 the way this car's been spec'd, the price would jump from 850,000 closer to R1 million. Now that's a lot of money for a 2-litre 4-cylinder hatchback, no matter how good it is. But if we want to compare it to these other two cars, we should take it to the track, because the proof is in the pudding. So there we go.
All right, so because I beat the GTI and I have to take on the Mercedes-AMG A35, less confidence about this. I have to absolutely nail this. So handbrake up, build the boost, cannot lose.
So launch control on the A35 is a breeze. It is literally the easiest thing ever. Switch it over to Sport Plus mode and then foot flat, left foot flat on the brake, right foot flat on the accelerator.
See, that's why manual cars are kind of cool, you know? There's no waiting for launch control, because here's my launch control, right here. Ah, I lost it. Bogged the launch.
He's arguing with himself there, fighting with himself.
Color me surprised. Not. So the A35 won.
Oh, what
And
else
at
did
that
you guys
premium-
expect?
Yeah, at that premium I would expect it.
Yeah, well, that was entirely what I expected to happen.
Front wheel
Four-wheel
drive. What do you
All right,
think's going to
James,
happen?
so look, we've three of the best hot hatches in the country at the moment. If it was your money, what you putting in your garage?
Look, I think all three of these cars are fantastic propositions in their own right. The Megane is great for those who like to do track days, but then again, there's only 7 of them, and it also commands a massive premium over the GTI. And you've got the AMG, which really doesn't compete with these two, has 4-wheel drive and a way higher price tag. Could perhaps compete with something like the new Audi S3 or the upcoming Volkswagen Golf R. So all things considered, I think I'd go with the cheapest, which is the Golf GTI.
It's a GTI for you. Martin?
Same story. Look, I love this A35, and if I had $1 million to drop on a car, this would be it. But it's still 200,000 Rand more expensive in base than the GTI. So it's just too much of a difference to ignore. My
You
vote
guys know
also
where
goes to
my
the
heart
Golf.
lays. GTI all the way.
Yep.
And there you have it, folks. The car that lost won.
Make of that what you will, guys.
Go figure.